friends, how are you? It's Arthi, and in today's video I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the topic of minimalism. I had actually put up a video about this, I think it was 2 years ago now. Actually, I think this month is the 2-year anniversary, if I remember correctly. I will see if I can find that video for you somewhere in my YouTube feed, and I'll put it up so you can watch it and see what I talked about back then at the beginning when I was first in minimalism. And the reason why I'm putting up this video is that I know that minimalism, or the concept of minimalism, is so big these days and it's so widespread, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself and my journey and how I got into it. And I'm gonna probably break this down into 2 videos, probably 3, I think, because it's just too much to cover right now, or I'll be talking for 30 minutes and I'll probably bore you to death. So it's easier to just do it that way. And to get started in this one, I'll tell you how I got into minimalism, or how I discovered it. And then in the second video, I'll tell you a little bit about how I'm using it in my life. And then in the third video, I'll make a general one where I will just talk about minimalism itself, and if you're exploring it and if you're interested, I will just give you some tips on how to make a decision as to whether you want to be a minimalist or not, and just go over some of the do's and don'ts, I guess. And yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do it. Now let me first tell you, minimalism was not something that I really knew about until a couple of years ago. It was a very new concept to me. I had heard about it here and there. I knew kind of what the word meant, but I thought that minimalists were like extreme people who went around just, wearing t-shirts and blue jeans all day and never bought anything or spent money, and they just lived in, like, I don't know, small houses or lived in wooden shacks in the woods or something. But of course that's not true. And what happened was that a few years before I found out about minimalism, one of my daughters was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which some people know it as juvenile diabetes. And it's not the same as type 2. Sometimes people will get the two mixed up, but the type 1 diabetes is actually an autoimmune disease. It's something that just happens when the pancreas shuts down and stops producing insulin, and then you become a diabetic. And it's not like triggered by any of your eating habits or anything. It just happens to some people. It's genetic. It runs in many people's in some people's families, not all, but most of the time it runs in people's families, and there's really nothing you can do to stop it. If it happens, it happens. And my daughter she was diagnosed when she was 9, and then right after that, just dealing with the fact that she had a chronic disease and just trying to transition from living, like, I guess, a quote normal life to taking care of a child that had all these medical needs was just really, really difficult. And she struggled a lot physically. It put a lot of pressure on her academically because she was dealing with a lot of blood sugar issues, with her sugars going up and down constantly, and that was not easy at all either. And it also put a lot of stress on me and on my husband, because we didn't know how to help her all the time, and we couldn't always deal with all the problems that were coming up. And we had 2 other kids, or we have 2 other kids, and they were very young, and just having to, help our diabetic daughter and then deal with the other 2 kids was really stressful, just really was hard on the whole family. And then after a few years, things were kind of stabilizing, but it was just still really difficult. And you know how sometimes when you feel like you're standing in the middle of a room or something, and all these like issues and problems, or the whole world is just like swirling around you and you can't do anything to stop it. You feel like you don't have any control. That's how I felt. I just felt like there was a lot of chaos in our lives at the time, and we just were having a lot of ups and downs and issues. And a lot of things were going on even beyond that, just family issues with extended family members and things. And so one day my husband had stumbled upon the minimalist, because he was always more of kind of a simple-minded person. And being that I grew up in, I had done the video where I had lived in 5 different places as a child, but living in Ireland and in Massachusetts up in New England are the two places that had the greatest impact on me as a person and my personality. And I was always more of like, a country girl, not really a city woman or anything. I was never really urban. I always was more simple and kind of hippie-ish inside. So when my husband stumbled upon minimalism and the minimalist, the whole concept just seemed right, and it just, felt like it was what I was looking for at that time, because I just had too much going on. There was too much in my head, and I felt like I needed to just kind of strip myself clean of everything and start all over again. Now, let me tell you who the minimalists are, because that's very important. Now, there are two guys. I wrote their names down because I don't want to mispronounce them or mess it up. Okay, so the first person, his name is Joshua Fields Milburn, and his friend is Ryan Nicodemus. And I'll put everything in the links down below so you can go and check them out. They have a website, they have a book that they came out with, and they do travel quite a bit. And so if you're interested, if you want to, follow their website and see what they talk about, then, you can go and see what it's all about. Now, my husband and I, after we found out about minimalism and the minimalists, we went to a bookstore called the Housing Works in New York City, which is a really nice bookstore. It's so cute and awesome, because the minimalists, Josh and Ryan, were coming there to talk about their lives and how they had transitioned into minimalism. And we went there and we listened to them speak. I think they talked for over an hour. It's probably like a good hour and a half. And it was just really so inspirational. It was just amazing, because it just opened up my eyes to a new world that I didn't even realize was there. And it just, like when they were telling their stories, and they were talking about a lot of the issues and things that they were going through, although their lives were different, they were dealing with different things, just the emotions they were talking about was very similar to what I had gone through. I mean, that's the thing that was just incredible, is that, as human beings, on a basic level, we all go through the same emotions. We all feel the same things, even though, we might be dealing with totally different problems at the time. And that was just great to listen to. And, and the second thing about seeing the minimalists is that when we went to the bookstore, the place was packed and there were tons of people. The thing that I was so surprised by was just the diversity of the people that had come to see them, because like I had said, I always thought minimalists were just extremely simple people going around with, white t-shirts, blue jeans, and just, canvas sneakers or something. And there was such an amazing group of people. There were people that were professionals, university students, middle class, average, everyday people. There were groups of Islamic women that were there, Islamic men. I mean, just even, just little kids and high school kids were there too. And I was like, wow, this is just so incredible. This is just, the kind of thing that I want to be a part of. And it just feels right, and it feels really great. And I was so excited by it. And that's how I got my start into minimalism. So that was just the beginning of the whole phase and journey. And so that is kind of where I guess this video will end, because I'm going to come back with a part 2, and then I'll talk to you a little bit more about, what happened after that, how I applied it to my life, and some things that I didn't know in the beginning that I kind of discovered, I guess, about myself and minimalists along the way, because, you can't know everything at first. And so that's it for this one. And like I said, I'll put everything in the links. So please go check them out if you are interested in seeing who they are and what they're about. And all right, so I'll be back again with part 2 very soon, and I will continue on. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching. Love you guys. Okay, bye.